Hi there, this is Andrew Brody with Yokogawa's Network Solutions Group. Today I'm going to show you the new feature we have in Yokogawa's DAQStation or DXAdvanced data recorder that includes the ability to build custom screens. So I'm going to show you two ways to build the custom screens. One is using the panel itself. I'm currently capturing the screen of a panel right here. And the other is using the DAQStudio software. So let's start with building a screen using the built-in screen builder capability of the DAQStation Advanced R3 Revision 3 firmware. Okay, so what we're looking at is a screen I'm capturing via the VGA out option on the unit. And in order to see what I'm talking about here, I'm bringing up the menu by hitting the display enter button on the DAQStation, and we can see over here on the R3 there's a new selection for you called custom display. If we take a look here, we see by default it has display 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 custom displays that can be put in the internal memory of the unit, and then you can have up to 25 external displays that can be stored on the compact flash card. As it ships from the factory, it comes with no displays currently configured, so if I just pick display 1, it's just going to be blank here. Alright. Display 2 is the same way. If I want to add a new display, I just come here and that will automatically bring up what we call the display builder, and you can see up in the corner here it says external 1, which means this is going to be one of your 25 external displays. By hitting the next key over here and then hitting run panel, I'll switch back into my runtime mode. So I've already got some screens pre-configured, so I'm going to show you quickly how I can load pre-configured screens. So I'm going to, from the main menu here, I'm just going to hit the menu button on the keypad of the DAQStation. I'm going to go over to the File tab at the top, and I'm going to go down to Load Custom Display, and I'm going to say All because I have a bunch of them loaded up here. I'm going to go All. It's going to ask me what directory on my compact flash, so I'm going to go Custom, and it's going to load all the files that were in there. The other option I have is, if I escape out of here, is to select an individual custom display. Alright, so it's going to ask me which of the slots I want to load that into. Internal, I'm going to go to the directory, and then I can see here, here's all my custom displays. There's internal 1 through 3, and you're allowed external all the way up to 25. Alright. In this case, I don't have 25 external. I think I stopped at about 19 or so. But you could have up to 25 of them, and they need to be named external 1 through 25 and internal 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to escape back out of here since I already loaded up some of my screens, and I'm going to escape back here to kind of show you an example of what some of these screens look like. So there's a alarm annunciator screen. As you can see, we've got some bitmap graphics on here. It's going to look a lot like a PowerPoint running on here because that's how we set up this to help our sales guys be able to sell the new features. If I go over to custom display here, I can see I've now got some names here like overview. So overview brings up a screen showing overview. If I go down here, I can see some more practical examples of what some customers might do. So in the middle there, you can see I have a bitmap of looks like some valves and pipes and pumps. And down at the bottom, I'm showing my real-time values. Over on the left-hand side, I'm showing a trend. If I were to go ahead and hit start here, the trend would start to populate with some values on it. It would start recording. Okay, so I'm going to hit stop here and stop that since we're mainly interested in looking at the custom graphics capabilities. Okay, taking a look, we can take a look at another custom screen here. Alright, So anyways, we're seeing all the different types of possibilities we have for custom screens. Essentially anything that you see in the regular screens in terms of values, trends, logs is now available to you to use on a custom screen. And let's take a look at how we'd actually build up a custom screen from scratch here. So I'd go here and maybe hit this new button, or I'd pick one of these other ones that aren't named, like maybe external 18. And then I'm going to hit the function key. I go next, and I'm going to pick builder here. Once I pick builder, we're going to see that there's going to be a little set of menus down at the bottom. I can use the arrow keys on my wheel to move the mouse pointer, or what looks like a mouse pointer, across the screen. Okay, usually the first thing I do is I position it where I want to start drawing whatever I'm going to draw. Then down at the bottom I pick, okay, I've got some button here like Toolbox. That's going to allow me to place all types of stuff on the screen. Grid, if I pick that, that shows me how fast the mouse can jump, or the pointer can jump. 1 dots, 5 dots, 10 dots, 20 dots, 50 dots at a time. So if it's moving around a little too slowly on the screen, you can increase it to say something like 50 dots like I just picked. And now it'll pop across the screen a little faster. If I go back to grid and hit 1 dot, we can see it's barely moving at all now when I'm pressing the arrow key. So I'm going to go back to grid and say like 10 dots. We have some other stuff here like move, resize, and property. Essentially, when you have something on the screen and you want to move it, resize it, or alter the properties, or copy it, you move your pointer over the item and then you hit the button that corresponds to what you want to do to it, like move, resize, property, copy. If I hit the next, there's some other stuff here like order, dependency, grouping of them. I can do stuff like that. Alright, those are all things you can do once you have the arrow over it. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to start by placing my first item on the screen. So once again, I'm going to position the pointer where I want to start drawing the item. Then I'm going to hit the Toolbox button, and I'm going to do something like digital. So I'm going to hit the digital button. Once I do that, we can see that my pointer kind of turns to a line. And by moving my down and my right arrow or left arrow type keys, or actually it's my right arrow key, I can kind of size that space there. And then once I have it sized to the correct size, I can just hit display enter, and it's going to drop that on the screen. By default, it'll be channel 1 here. If I want to change what channel it's pointing to, I can put my mouse over it or my pointer over it, come down here, hit the property button, and I can go ahead and alter the properties on it. It's going to show you the basic properties. If I want more detailed properties, I pick details. Now up at the top you can see it says 1, 2, 3, so I can arrow over to switch between the different properties. I can arrow down to shuffle properties like that. Okay, if I want to change it from channel 1, I just select it and then I go input, and then I can go over here and say I want that to be channel 2 now, and away we go. Alright, so I'm going to change that back to channel 1 now. And I'm all set. So I'm going to go down here to OK, and that's dropped me a digital value on the screen. Say I want to drop something else on the screen. Once again, position my mouse, go to Toolbox. Let's do a bar graph this time. And of course I'm using my arrows to size the bar graph. And hit display enter when I'm done, and there's a bar graph on the screen. Once again, I can put my arrow on it, and this time if I wanted to, I could click the move button. And this now allows me to move that item I've just dropped on the screen. Alright, there we go. So let's drop a couple more things on the screen and then we'll move along. So I'm going to Toolbox. I'm picking switch. I'm drawing it. And I've just dropped a switch on the screen. I'll put my arrow over it. I'm going to hit the property button this time. And now I can change the different types of switches I have on my screen. So I have selector picked right now for the style. If I go down, if I pick on that, you can see down at the bottom it says selector, seesaw, lever, slide X, slide Y, push, power, connector, toggle. Well, I'm going to pick power now. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to go OK. And now I got a power button there. I can hit property again on it. This time I'm going to go down to details. I'm going to go over. I could change some colors if I wanted to it. Dependencies, anything like that. Okay. This first thing here, this event level switch. This is what that switch is tied to, and I could change it to several different event level switches. Down at the bottom you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. If I hit next, up to 12, 18, 24. So you've essentially got 30 events that you can tie that to, where it's going to be like an on-off event. And inside the DAQStation, you can now hook that up with one of the event actions inside it. So when you hit that, it'll trigger that particular event action. So you could link this to an event action that triggers a flag, and that flag you could drop in a math channel, and you could alarm that math channel, and once you alarm it, it can be tied to a relay. So you could actually, by flipping the flag and activating the math channel alarm, you could do a relay on the back. So you could do a little on-off control now through that switch, should you choose to. Similarly, other events are like stop, start, recording. You can now kind of add soft buttons to the screen that can do just about anything that the event action allows you to do. Alright, so I'm going to escape out of here. Just let's go through the toolbox to take a look at some other things that we have here. We have scale that allows you to put a scale on the screen. We have switch that allows you to put that switch. We have trend that allows you to put the trend on the screen. We have label that allows you to put some text on the screen. If I hit the next button, we've got some other stuff here like CH parts. Let me click that for you. And you can put stuff like a communications tag, digital bar, unit, alarm indicator, span left, basically all the little parts of the tag that are kind of like accessory pieces. Once again, I can hit escape to back out of that, go back to toolbox, go next. I can put any of our lists on the screen. If I hit the list, like our message list, alarm list, I can go back. I can drop a bitmap on the screen. Alright, now if I have a bitmap stored in the directory where I have my custom graphics, in this case the custom folder on that compact flash, I can literally drop that bitmap on the screen. So I could go bitmap, draw in the bitmap that I want, how big I want it to be. Alright, and now I go on it, click property. It's going to ask me what file. Okay, so now I can go input on that, and I believe I have one called P1. So now I got P1 on there, and now I can hit enter, go down and hit OK. And now that little bitmap I'm seeing on the screen is linked to P1. I'm just taking a look. So I've got a view into the compact flash there through my computer here, and here's that P1 bitmap. Alright, so essentially now I've linked that little screen there to the bitmap file. Alright, the next thing I can do is go back to Toolbox, and let's just finish taking a look at some of the stuff I can drop on there. So I can do bitmaps, I can do stuff like shapes, like lines, rectangles, circles. I can put a push button on the screen if I want. So that's just kind of like a typical Windows type button on the screen. I can put some text on it. I can put a comment box on the screen that shows like some comment that you might see for an alarm indicator or something like that. I can put a comment block, which is essentially a series of comments grouped together. And this is another neat thing that we've added that people may find of use. And this is communication input. So if I pick COM in, I can put this in. This now allows you to have a box on the screen that you can enter an analog value into the PC through. So for example, this might be a way you want to enter a set point or something like that into it. And what this does is this ties the value, if I hit property on it, to a communication channel. And depending on the model you can have up to 300 communication channels on the unit. And this will essentially allow you to store a floating point value into one of those 300 communication channels. And then those communication channels can be dropped in math channels for processing or wherever you want to use that communication channel. So anyways, let's just go OK here, and that's set up. So once everything's done here, I just go Run Panel. That switches it into runtime mode there, and you can see when I did, it shows a section of that bitmap there. All right. So that's how you use the built-in capabilities of the recorder to build or edit existing screens on the DAQStation itself. Now let me show you something that's a little easier to do, and this is an optional piece of software we call DAQStudio. So I'm going to bring up DAQStudio, and here it is. DAQStudio essentially allows you to do all the same stuff but on your PC, and then communications wise it allows you to send it down to the DAQStation across an Ethernet connection. Alright? Or you can go communications wise, you can go receive. So I've got in the IP address, I've got the default username and password, which is just a min with no password. I can now go receive, and it's going to suck in all those display files from the unit. As soon as it does that, I can go ahead and edit them a bit, or I can go ahead and build some new ones. So let me kind of show you how this works. Okay, so any second now it's going to be done receiving all the files. So we'll just give it a few more seconds here. Almost done. And there we go. So now over here I can see overview, custom, multi-batch, enunciator. Essentially all these pre-built custom displays that we've done that show off the features of the new R3 firmware. Okay, there's some custom screens. Okay, I can go down here to my external 18, my external 19. I can go here to some of these ones that haven't been used, and I could go up here, File, New. I could start building completely from scratch, or as a quick one, I've already saved all these files under My Documents. I created a folder called DAQStudio, and I've got all the files there, and I've essentially just got to point at the first one and I can go ahead and load them back. Alright, so now once I have them here, I can just pick one of these that isn't being used or one that is, and I could go ahead and edit this. For example, say I don't want this to be channel 1 anymore. I can go over here and drag channel 2 and drop it on top of it, and now you can see it's channel 2. I could drop channel 3 on top of it, or if I change my mind, want to go back, I can go ahead and do channel 1 on top of it. I've got all the other stuff up here, like say I wanted to add a line to the screen. I want to add a square to the screen, circle, some text. I can go over here to where it says text label and I can type in a message. Okay, so that just allows you to put some text on the screen. I just want to drop a straight digital value on the screen. I click here, drop that straight digital value on the screen, click on it, and once again I can drag the number I want onto it, channel 2 for example. Or I can go over here to the properties and pick one of the channels, like channel 6. I can go and change stuff like its color and all that over here. Okay, so I can drag and drop values on, or I can go over here and adjust the properties. Okay, I can do bar graphs. I can drop a trend on the screen. I can click on this existing trend if I want. Come over here and kind of say maybe which display group, which is a set of pins I want it to graph. Okay, I can drop a scale on the screen, and then just various other items like spans, upper, lowers. I can drop an alarm indicator on the screen. Okay, I can come over here, expand this, and I can kind of drag one of these guys, drop it over there, and this over here now is changed to channel 2, alarm level 1, or it could be alarm level 4 now. Okay, so we're seeing all that neat stuff. Here's where I can drop that switch on the screen if I want. I can go over here, change what it's a seesaw now, slide X. I can pick which of the event level switches I want to tie that to. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that guy now. Drop a button on the screen. Okay, so you can kind of see that this editor is a lot easier to work with than the editor on the DAQStation. I want to drop a bitmap. I just pick the bitmap. I draw. Now the trick with bitmaps is wherever I saved all these files, that's where the bitmap has to reside. So there must be a bitmap called p1.bitmap in that folder if I hope for it to show up here. Now this bitmap can be named just about anything you want, like XYZ, whatever you want for a name. The only restriction that we really have is that the file must be stored in the same location that all the custom screens are stored. Alright, then the only other thing I do is I turn on display on editing so I can kind of see what it looks like on my screen. And then that just allows me to maybe resize my window a bit to capture what part of the bitmap. Now there is a limitation to bitmaps that you can use, and that limitation is you're only allowed 2 bitmaps per custom display. Now that may seem like not many, but there's some tricks you can do. Like you can go into Paint and combine a bunch of bitmaps into one bitmap, and then once you have that one bitmap on the screen, you can go up here, overlay some digital data on top of it, so you can kind of make it look like your standard HMI SCADA screens. In fact, you can do a screen capture of your standard SCADA HMI from like a Wonderware or Involution or Iconics type HMI, and then just save it as a bitmap in Paint, and then bring it in here and then just overlay some data on top of it. And that's kind of a quick way to build up a background image that you could use with this. Alright, so once you've got all your screens built, I just go ahead and File, save them to a particular directory. You could do that, File, Save As. In this case I created the DAQStudio directory. I'm saving them as there. Alright, and then what you can do is you can then go Send. Put in the IP address, go ahead, Send. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take all those files and drop them down to your DAQStation. Make sure you have a compact flash card in the DAQStation so it can receive all these files. So it's going ahead, it's sending those files down. And then what we'll see is after it sent them down, I'm going to switch back to my display. that's showing the live recorder. So let me reduce this down, bring up my screen capture of my live recorder, and now I can go here, custom display, maybe take a look at that external 19 that I was playing with. Okay, so you can see some of that stuff I dropped on it, so the screen is all changed. So this is a quick introduction to the new custom graphics screen of the DAQStation. For more information on it, you can look in the help file that comes with the DAQStation R3, as well as the help file that comes in DAQStudio if you purchase DAQStudio.